Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to a brand new Let's Play. Today we're going to be doing something that I've been thinking about doing for a while. I am going to do a challenge run of Final Fantasy V for the Final Fantasy V 4-Job Fiesta. If you don't know what the 4-Job Fiesta is, it is a charity thing that they do yearly. They've been doing it since 2009, I do believe. Where people pledge money for the Child's Play charity. I almost said Let's Play charity, but no, the Child's Play charity, which is a charity, if you are unaware, that buys video games and consoles for sick children in hospitals. And I can agree wholeheartedly with that. They don't raise like earth-shattering amounts of money, but I think that's a good use for what money they do raise, because being in a hospital room for days on end is terrible and boring, and you know what? I'm all for them giving those sick kids something to do to take their mind off of it all. Now, what is the Fiesta in its nitty-gritty? Well, the Fiesta is a challenge run of the game where you are limited to 4 jobs, one from each crystal. For example, when you get to the Wind Crystal, you tweet out using Twitter to the, I think it's called Gilgabot, which is a little bot they have that accepts tweets, and it assigns you one of the jobs on the Wind Crystal, and you can only use that job. So you put all 4 people in that job and you go on. When you get to the Water Crystal, you tweet out again and he gives you another job, and then you can then kind of switch out your other people into that job as well. You must always have at least one person as at least one of the jobs. So when you get to the Water Crystal and let's say you get Berserker, well, you can have 3 monks from the Wind Crystal and 1 Berserker. You don't have to have 2 and 2. And then when you get to the Fire Crystal, it's the same thing. You have to have, let's say you get Geomancer. So you have a monk, a Berserker, a Geomancer, and then the 4th person can be any of those other 3. And when you get to the Earth Crystal, the same thing. So let's say you get a Dragoon. Well, you must always have a monk, a Berserker, a Geomancer, and a Dragoon in your party. And you can mix and match people into other jobs and use all of the abilities of all 4 of those jobs. That's the traditional vanilla 4-job Fiesta in a nutshell. There are other things you can add to your game, like modifiers, to kind of spice things up a little bit. For example, you can add a Berserker Risk to your gameplay, which is crazy, by the way. People who do Berserker Risk are insane. That doesn't sound fun at all. Berserker Risk is you get your Wind Crystal job as normal. Your Water Crystal job is always a Berserker. You can get nothing else. And then your other 2 crystals can also be Berserkers, depending on donations and things like that. I don't know. Having 3 Berserkers in your party does not sound like fun to me. It sounds like the opposite of fun. Let's see, what else is there? There's Team 750, which limits your job pool to jobs that can break rods. Meaning, like from the first crystal, you can have Blue Mage and Black Mage, I do believe. And then there's Team No 750, which is the opposite of that. It's jobs that cannot break rods. So, you know. You can also opt for a natural run, which means that you have to, when you get to the Wind Crystal, Barts must use the Wind Crystal job. Everyone else has to stay in Freelancer until they get to their respective crystal. There is no switching of jobs. There is no... Let's see. There's no putting in abilities from other classes. You are limited to what you get from your assigned jobs. So, like if you play a natural run and Barts gets Thief, then Barts has to be a thief for the entire game. He can only use the abilities that the thief learns. There's no black magic you can put on there, or you can't put summons on him if you get Summoner as your other one. it severely limits your options. Natural runs are not really all that bad, I don't think, as long as you get good jobs. But there's a few jobs I think that are terrible with natural. For example, like Geomancer. Geomancer's pretty good if you put the right abilities on it. Not so much if you just stick with just the Geomancer abilities. Let's see what else is there. I'm going to be playing a classic run of this game, which means I am limited to jobs that are available in Final Fantasy 1, which means I'm going to get and it also works a little differently in that classic runs are always natural runs, meaning that when I get to the crystal, Bart's will get his job assigned, and I can't mix and match any abilities from any of the other jobs I get assigned. One of the main differences between this and a normal Final Fantasy V Fiesta run is that I can choose to assign all 4 of my jobs at the Wind Crystal when I get there, which is what I'm going to be doing. Basically what that means is that I am limited to Knight, Monk, Black Mage, White Mage, Thief, and Red Mage. I have 6 classes to choose. Well, I don't get to choose, but I have 6 classes that I can potentially be assigned to. Two of the main differences in this, like I said, is that I can choose to have all 4 of my jobs assigned at once. If I get Red Mage, I have to wait till that person has to remain in Freelancer until I get to Waltz and get the Water Crystal job, at which point they then become a Red Mage. And the other is that... Oh, there was another one, and I just totally lost it. Oh, goodness, I totally lost. Anyway, whatever. It's on the tip of my tongue. But, you know, as for like assigning all 4 of your jobs at once, one of the things I've seen is they did actually put out like a forum post saying that you could get all 4 of your jobs at once, but I didn't see anything about not getting all 4 of your jobs at once, which, depending on what your first job is, might be a good thing, because having played this game so many times, having 3 freelancers in your party is really the same as basically having 3 knights. And I am playing right now. It's like, woo, look at me left, right. Oh, yeah. Let's see, config. Let's turn the battle speed down to 4. Actually, you know what? Let's put it on 3. Let's see. Auto dash, yes. And now I'll leave it blue. It really bothers me that I forgot what I was going to say. But oh well, that is par for the course for my brain. I got them brain problems, guys, and I apologize. I'm going to go through this game with under the assumption that you know what Final Fantasy V is, and you are not going to be looking for a full clear of the game, because looking for a full clear of the game is dumb. Well, it's not dumb, it's just not what's going to be happening here. So anyway, I'm going to name him the same thing I always name him. For those of you that don't know, having played I originally played this game on the, let's see, Final Fantasy Anthology. I was thinking, was it Chronicles or Anthology? No, it was Anthology. Anthology had Final Fantasies 5 and 6 in it. I played the mess out of both of those when it came out. Oh man, I was in love. At that point, I had not played Final Fantasy 6, even when it was Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo. So I had a lot of fun with that as well. But of the 2 games, I really, really enjoyed Final Fantasy V more. And to this day, Final Fantasy V is in my top 5 RPGs of all time. I find that the games that I remember most fondly are the ones that are not angsty. They're the ones that are full of, you know, humor and happiness and just overall, you know, have generally upbeat tones. That's not to say that bad things don't happen in this game, because that's not true. But at the same time, they don't sit there and go, oh, bad things have happened to me for 20 hours. They sit there, they have a little discussion, and you go on, and the game maintains its bright kind of happy tone. So I'm not gonna say happy, but cheerful, positive tone. Positive is a much better word. And but Final Fantasy V, especially, the characters maintain their positive attitude throughout the entire game, but at the same time, they don't they don't ignore the things that have happened. Forgive me for going through the dialogue real fast, but like I said, I'm under the assumption that you have played this game before, and this is nothing new in terms of story. One thing I dislike about the Final Fantasy V Advance version of the game, which is what I'm playing, is the Game Boy Advance game. Many people consider it to be the best version of the game. Well, most people consider it that. But one of the reasons why one of the things I have against this game is the artwork right there in the speech bubbles. I'm really not a fan of the artwork for the Final Fantasy characters. Let's see, we want to go over here, get us a Phoenix Down. Phoenix Downs are really expensive in this game. But, like, for real, positive games are seriously some of the ones I remember the most fondly. Skies of Arcadia is another one. Oh man, I love that game. And it's because it's so upbeat and wonderful, and I mean, I could gush about it. I mean, it's got its downsides, like mechanically, like it has a really high encounter rate, like absurdly high, one of the highest in any RPG I've ever played. And I've only played the GameCube version of the game, which has its encounter rate drastically reduced, and it's still really high. It's at least on par with a game like Breath of Fire 2. It might be a little higher, I don't know, I've never crunched numbers on encounter rates or anything like that. That would be an incredible waste of time for me. So here we are, we're going to save Lena and Galoof, with our main character Trebs. You see what I did there? I think that's clever. I actually always call them Trebs. In the original, let's see, PlayStation 1 version, his name is Butz, B-U-T-Z, which is hilarious. And I giggled because I was, like, I don't know, how old was I? I actually got that game when it came out. I read about it in a game magazine, and I got my dad to get it for me, order it for me off the internet, because none of the stores around where I live carried it. So I said, Dad, please. And my dad never, like, bought me anything. So he did. He ordered it for me. I said, please, my birthday's coming up. I want this. And he got it for me, and I was happy. All was right with the world. I also got Final Fantasy Chronicles, like, when it came out shortly thereafter. He also ordered that off the internet for me because, for the same reasons, I couldn't find it anywhere. But that time I had to give him the money for it, because it was not my birthday. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's reversed. Maybe I found Chronicle. I don't know, I don't remember. It's been too many years. Been way too many years. But I do remember him ordering those two games for me, and you know what? It's awesome. Another game that keeps the tone, like, generally throughout the game of being real positive and upbeat is Earthbound. Earthbound's quirky about it, but, and of course the last, like, 5% of the game is kind of, I'm not going to say it's angsty, but it's got definitely a much different tone than the previous 95% of the game. But, you know, like I said, the games I remember most fondly are like this. Grandia is another one. It's not in my top 5, but I think it maintains that sense. It's games with that sense of adventure that I really enjoy. You know, the whole we're on a journey and we're gonna save the world and nothing's gonna stop us, but at the same time you're also exploring and things like that. Very few games do I find memorable that have lots of angst. Final Fantasy IV is one of the games I think that does it okay because it's baked into the character right away and he tries to get better. So, you know, so anyway, long story short, Final Fantasy V is probably my most favorite Final Fantasy game. That or Final Fantasy IX. Those are the two games that I remember the most fondly out of all the Final Fantasies. Not Final Fantasy VII, you know, not Final Fantasy VI, not Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasies 9, and 5. You probably hear me hammering my button. See? Come on, go through the dialogue. I might actually turn the battle speed up for this. I think I will. Let's turn it up to 2. We'll turn the battle message up to... Let's see, the lower number. Okay, just making sure that the lower number is what I want. I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm probably going to have to change my controller layout because I keep hitting the wrong button. Like, I have A set where I want A, but I keep hitting the opposite button. Punch that bat, Galoof. Punch it! Like, for those of you who, like, know the story of the game, I've always questioned as to why Galoof came here with no weapons or anything, like, especially considering, you know, what is available to him and all that. Maybe I got crushed by the meteorite, I don't know. But you would think he would come a little more prepared, which he did not. There's really not much to say about the gameplay at this point in the game. You just kind of go through and kill things and continue on. I probably am not going to be too high level by the end of the game. One of the great things about Final Fantasy V is that even if you're just playing vanilla, like with all the jobs and stuff available to you, it is not required to level grind at all in this game. Levels are much less important than AP, and there is lots of really good ways to get AP if you become prepared. For example, there's some statues in a later castle that you can go to, and they are susceptible to blue magic to instantly kill them, and that's really good. Let's see, optimize, put that on you. I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm like, why isn't my B button working? That's because I'm hitting the wrong button. This controller I have is really loud. So, depending on what classes I get, I will probably be lower or higher level. For example, I'm probably going to get the chicken knife instead of the brave sword because, first of all, there's no way I'm not going to run, and second of all, the chicken knife is just better than the brave sword. And everybody can pretty much equip it. Like, you know, even if I get a knight in my party, he can still equip the chicken knife just as easily as he can equip the brave blade. And of course, the chicken knight, despite having, I think maxed out strength, never running, the brave blade has an attack power of like 150. And the chicken knife is 127. Well, the chicken knives in this game have like a different damage formula than swords. Knives incorporate your speed stat into the damage calculations of
knives, and, well, that makes them more powerful than a similarly powered sword. So at this point today, I think I'm pretty much going to just get to the Wind Crystal and